Over the past couple of hours, the crypto market has fallen again. Well, even though only a little bit, it does bring up a very interesting question that I now ask to you. And that is, have you learned something from the past couple of days? I mean, I just made a video talking about I'm going all in. And the prices pretty quickly afterwards went pretty amazing. But right now, we're back to that moment of basically 2 days ago where a lot of these coins are back at the older levels. XRP 315, Bitcoin 118, Ethereum just below 3,800, right now slightly above it. And the funny thing is, I've already made this video so many times explaining how most people miss these massive opportunities. Because what they do is they look at the dumps and think, oh, yeah, this is going to go so much further. We're going to go down to basically zero from here. I got to be very, very careful. But then as the market moves up, they come again and ask, hey, should I be buying? Is this where we go crazy? Now, I'll tell you, for the most part, first of all, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing I say here is financial advice. But let me say, for the most part, I believe in the saying of whenever the market is good, treat it with the utmost respect and just follow it along, right? And that basically means that as the bull market's here, which it's 3 years of up, 1 year of down. The 3 years of up started about November or so of 2022. We expect it to end somewhere around between August of this year, so in a few weeks or so, to the end of, I'm going to say January 2026, somewhere in there to be the craziest spiral. But that spiral is most likely going to be showcased by all the prices going up pretty quickly, all the prices going up multiple days or weeks in a row, and massive media coverage. Coinbase will go down a few times. You'll keep seeing it over on every freaking news website, every freaking news broadcast, all that. And your uncle, your friend, your Uber driver are all going to ask you if they should be buying dog, stupid, 123, dumbass coin. Does it have to go this way? No, but it intuitively also makes sense. Why does a market implode? Why do all of a sudden these things come crumbling down? Well, maybe understand that thus far it's always been short term. It's always been a crash. It's always been a bear market that usually revives itself after some time, right? And that happens mostly because the market gets oversaturated with, first of all, garbage, but second of all, over-enthusiasm. People think it cannot fail no more, and they keep going for riskier, stupider, riskier things, and somebody decides to call their bluff. And the reason we don't necessarily expect this to be the moment where we don't go any higher whatsoever is because when you think about it, if you were to state that this is the end of the season, even though really no enthusiasm was here, no real retail who are aping the freaking tops, well, that would be pretty scary to a certain degree because Ethereum hasn't, for example, even topped. And if you now would like to assume then that the market can go down again without a lot of the major coins even seeing a top, and I must admit now, BNB just saw a top a few days ago, even amidst the overall downwards moving market, you might add. Again, is it really downwards? Not really, but a lot of people would like to say that. But if Ethereum can't even top, it does bring up a good question of, well, will there ever be real excitement again? A counterexample would be XRP, where it went only to $2 in the 2021 run, but this time around saw a new all-time high. But that was lawsuit related. I don't think that's really the same. My own personal opinion is the following. I personally think that Bitcoin right now is just waiting to make its break, right? It's waiting to make the breakout above, let's say, 122,000. Once Bitcoin starts rolling again, all these other coins will basically start the real alt season. Mind you, that Bitcoin's dominance did bottom out ever so slightly, and right now we're just basically waiting for that next leg. And right now you can see, if you look at Bitcoin, right, it's not done anything in a little while. Still between basically 115 and 120,000, just keeps circulating back and forward. And yes, ETH and actually most of the coins are slowly but surely creeping up ever since Bitcoin made that high. Because of the slight little falls, the slight little slashes they've got, Bitcoin's dominance is still kicking up. But fun fact, I think it's actually mostly because coins on the lower end have actually not done so well. Whereas if you look at coins on the top, a few coins are down, like Doge here down 15% throughout the week, Cardano down 10%, but a lot of them have actually done pretty okay. Then again, if you compare it to Bitcoin, which is up 0.65%, you'd call this a nothing burger, as it's essentially not moved at all. But if you see other coins going down, actually I see it now updating a little bit, XRP down about 11% over the week, Solana down 6% over the week. When you start looking at those numbers, yeah, I can understand why Bitcoin's dominance is picking up a little bit. But the bigger question is, will this last? And I keep looking back at what I made 2 days ago, the video, where I said, I'm going for it. And instantly the prices shot up. You do not know for sure if this is going to happen. But as I reiterated earlier this morning, It's always a good question of, is it worth the risk? And I keep having the same conversation with people I meet. And they say, why do you think this crypto stuff is so good? And I don't even have to explain real fundamental reasons why these cryptocurrencies make sense, or why these cryptocurrency companies like a Ripple or the foundations behind an Ethereum, for example, why they would keep pushing it. I also could bring up treasury companies like MicroStrategy and a few others, SharpLink now, that are all buying so massively. And I keep saying it might as well, from a risk score perspective, be a good idea to go along with their camp. They're borrowing billions of dollars. And I always like to say this, either you go against them by shorting the freaking crap out of all these coins and saying, nope, they're wrong, they're going to get wrecked, they're going to come for them, or you go with them. Why go against them? Why go with them? Well, going with them because essentially, if they're right and they're borrowing billions for it, well, then we're all going to do pretty good. They will do good and we will do good. They will just do better because they've been going crazier. But essentially, we can kind of match them with our relative portfolio size. Or we can go against them saying, no, they're borrowing too much. It's becoming too risky. We will probably see the liquidation price being hit, and that will forcefully cause the prices to crash even more. But that would essentially mean you think ETH is topping out because of their massive over purchasing, over risk taking. And then you'd have to short it, in essence, right? You have to go against it or sell all your coins right now based on the idea they think it's going to be done for. And I just don't feel comfortable saying that this cannot go crazier because I personally feel as if the push right now, we just saw another announcement of Trump media putting a lot of money into new Bitcoin treasury related companies. I think like $300 million or so. BlackRock's become their most profitable ETF. We see SharpLink now, the Ethereum treasury company, raising tons, and they're going at it to buy more coins. I keep thinking, it is such an easy playbook right now. Look at all these companies raising billions of dollars. They tell you they're going to be raising billions of dollars, and then they buy. Thus far, the last couple of months, all we had to do was just listen in. Oh, we have MicroStrategy buying billions upon billions and putting all their freaking efforts into buying more. Okay, you know what? Since they still have X amount of money left to buy, this will probably continue, right, for a little while. They're going to be continuing to buy a lot. Should we go against that system? And I keep coming to the conclusion, no. I mean, slowly but surely, the altcoin season index is increasing, but I keep thinking, what is the best strategy now? What is it? Is it going to be another Bitcoin crash coming up? And how do we prepare for that? And my conclusion to it all is just, I have to just look back at what has worked in every single season, every single bull market, what has worked. And one thing that became quite apparent to me is just if I continue to buy the freaking dip every time there's a pretty juicy crash, I just buy the living crap out of it. And theoretically speaking, I can swing trade it also. For example, I try to buy here as the local low came in at 115,000. And as we got back towards the very clear resistance, right, you can just see it keeps getting to the exact same level time and time again towards this area, about $120,000 for Bitcoin. I could take some easy trades and say every single time it goes below, I just try to buy in. And actually, as I layer myself in, I try to layer back out at 120. And I just keep this up until it at some point breaks. But again, Bitcoin would basically act as a hedge where I sell the Bitcoin at that point to basically reap the benefits of all the alts as the Bitcoin dominance would drop and alts would relatively do better at that point anyway. This, of course, is just my normal blow-fin positions. By the way, the XRP trade, you might think, is down tremendously. We're not having a good time. We're not enjoying this, as it's only up $250,000. I'm not sure why this number here is not updating right now. Not exactly sure. Just quickly refreshed it. Maybe because I turned VPN on. Could very well be. Anyway, you might think this is devastating because I made a video earlier talking slightly about this moving average here and about how we were so happy we got to buy pretty cheap. But I'll tell you one more thing, right? I'm just going to keep these open because this, to me, is not enough. Funny, right? Funny how it gets. But I'm basically hedging myself against almost any other thing I'm doing to have juicy enough positions open for in case the market does break out. Because again, from a risk score perspective, it is a pretty good chance that this is going to be the craziest period of our lives. And I keep seeing it again. When the market falls, every person is fearful. Like right now, I see so much fear in my comment section, but I keep realizing that's where the opportunity lies at. And again, I've hedged myself pretty nicely by having all these bots as well that they basically buy as the prices go down lower. And if you want to, by the way, find out about Pionex, which is where I do the bots, or Blowfin, where I normally trade on, you can find both of those links down below. It's the ones I use. You can get some nice bonuses for signing up. But I keep thinking about it. All throughout all this time, all I had to do was just buy more, realize that most people are selling the fear. I should be on the opposite side buying that fear. Right here, you can see it again. We know where most people were saying, oh, should we sell? Where should we sell? Can we buy in already? Some people actually asked that, which was good. That was about the $3 mark. If you look at my streams, all of a sudden, no more excitement. Everybody was fearful. No more fun. A lot less people come on in. But as the market picks up, people like to watch. And one of the arguments somebody said in the chat box recently was, I don't like to watch when things are down. And I always say it's actually better to watch when things are going down rather than when things are going up. Partially because the more you count yourself poor, the harder you're going to work at it. Whereas the more you count yourself rich, the more you're going to get scared. And you might think this is reverse, right? You get more scared as prices go down lower. But essentially, depending on the position that you're in, this is just because you might be afraid that this is where the bear market starts, so the real crash is going to happen. I don't have that no more. The only thing I might be scared of really is when I'm doing really, really good, the market moves up a lot, and I'm perhaps partially afraid of losing that money again. This is, I think, the only scare which should be very much in your brain, because if you're scared when the market dips, you're either doing things a bit over the top, which again, I don't think is necessarily bad when the market's so poised, which, you know, from that perspective, I could understand if you're in a bit of a oofy situation. But still, I'd mostly say that your mindset should be on, okay, I'm just going to have to layer this out. If the market doesn't instantly pop up the moment that I enter, I just have to layer my way down. I have to have a little bit of breathing room for that, because every single time thus far, the market does come back around. And I'm not giving you this specific XRP example. I'm talking about if you look at Bitcoin throughout all its time, every single time it's moved upwards after a dip, right? Throughout all time, even specifically after breaking the local high. But you have to remember this. And the reason I'll come back every single day is because I keep seeing people say in the comment section, like I just said, they're afraid, they're not sure, they're this, they're that, they're this. And thus far, nobody who entered this crypto space could have lost if all they did was buy like a madman. It's only people who get fearful and start selling. I keep seeing interviews of people saying, oh, they lost bad with crypto. And fun fact, I told you, 3 or so days ago, I met a guy and he said he lost big on Bitcoin. And I look at him saying, how? Because, well, you lost big on Bitcoin in 2018 or whatever. It's done like a 15x from the moment that you got out or got in the first time. Like how, what did you do? And mostly it comes back to fear. Most people afterwards regret it. And I told you, every single time I bought something with my Bitcoin, I bought something with my coins, even with XRP really in that sense. I don't have the regret, because I think it's always nicer to have the things you want and not only stack money, because essentially the money is there to buy things with, right? So sometimes it's also nice to get things with that money. But if every single time I did that, I just decided not to, which I can essentially see as selling my coins, right? Because they were doing pretty good. I would have still been off way better right now. Every single time, because essentially both XRP, both Bitcoin, and actually almost ETH are back at all-time high levels. If you just change your mind from being fearful when the dip comes to being excited, seeing right now even as an opportunity, overall, from a risk-reward perspective, probabilistically, this is going to be in your best interest. So see these dips as an opportunity, because the market, for the most part, goes up. For the market, for the most part, has been really, really, really good. And I say one more thing. Most people are talking about when will the bull market end? When will it be over? I'm not sure if this is like a crypto account even. I didn't even check. No, it's not. But I interpolated this tweet in a certain way. Everyone's still focused so much on when the party will end instead of having a good time. You got to understand, you don't really need to think too much about when the altcoin season, when the bull market or whatever will end. First of all, you'll see it because of all the signs, but more importantly, you just got to get good, all right? You just got to do really, really well. And at that point, you don't have to focus so much on when will it end, because the whole point is doing well in the process of it. So if you're only thinking about the end of like, oh, but it's going to be over soon, oh, it's almost. None of that really matters when the best is still yet to come. If you're thinking mostly in the perspective that it's almost over, you can't really enjoy the best of times. And I keep saying, we've been waiting on this exact market for many years. The market has been up for about 2.5 years, sure, but that's mostly been Bitcoin or coins from their lows of lows, which was mostly pessimistic times, and still many dips in the process. Right now, we've gotten to a point where really almost any day, almost any dip is probably worth going for, in my own humble opinion. So see this as the best time. Don't think about when it's over. Enjoy whilst you're in it. Enjoy the fact that it's really thus far been very, very hard to be wrong. Even if you got in a really stupid entry, you bought the freaking high, most coins haven't really gone down that much. Whereas in worse markets, in the bear market, in markets where we weren't fully green, basically, you would have gotten punished really, really hard. And I've seen some really beautiful success stories. I mean, there's also always some people who round trip all the way, who've made really, maybe they made, for example, $7 million this week, and all of a sudden they're back down to a few $100,000 or a few $1 million in the minus. You'll see this all the time. One of these guys here, smart trader, went from plus 26 million to minus $700,000. He put $5 million back in and open a short of 20,000 ETH, so 80 million, with a liquidation price of about 3,997. People like to try their luck all the time, right? But again, you might say, Dusty, please don't show these type of people because these are crazy type of people. No. And essentially, many of these are normal who just really try to push their luck on a short term, and they really try to make big money. Because again, you can see this guy put 4 million and he's trying to trade with 80 million, right? He's full on the leverage, even though he has millions. You might think, why is he doing that when he's already rich? This person wants more and realizes this is peak market opportunity. It could also be that this person is hedging it because he's basically shorting with a liquidation at 3997, right? He's not trying to full long like most of those big portfolio guys are doing. He's trying to short now, which could be because he basically has, for example, very big altcoin bags open and he's shorting ETH. I don't know why you do it with so much leverage, but maybe he's hedging against his $80 million altcoin portfolio or supposed altcoin portfolio, and he's hedging that with ETH. Or it could be that he has a $5 million altcoin portfolio and he's hedging heavily with ETH. I'm just saying a couple of different examples because you could think about it, right? If all your alts would go absolutely crazy the moment ETH were to break out above $4,000, you can, theoretically speaking, have a couple of different strategies against it to minimize your risk. Takeaways from today. First of all, I noticed the fear. Hence, I wanted to make a video saying I'm still here, still buying all these different dips every single day because I promised y'all my strategy basically is going to be every single day I'll buy some more. And if the market goes up really a ton, like kind of today, theoretically, but that's the time again where to sell a little bit. In this case here, the only one where I think it would have been a pretty good would have been, actually, I think now ETH went to almost 4,000, right? Bitcoin went back to 120 and XRP went back to like 330 something. Theoretically speaking, all could have been a pretty good sell, but I don't think XRP made enough movements from where I bought at, so this was not really worth my attempt. But yeah, that's what I could do if I really, really wanted to. For the most part, though, I just want to keep it up and saying I'm going to be buying more coins every single day because I don't think about what it's going to be tomorrow. I think about what's going to be over the next few weeks. And if we're wrong, at least we freaking tried, but I see that probability as pretty small. Let me know down below, though, if you guys have given up, if you're scared right here, or you're just holding through, you're buying more, what you're doing. I've noticed, really, when I look at some of the videos, the more the market moves down here, right, the more often that it happens and not breaches an all-time high, the lower and lower the enthusiasm. Well, we're looking at XRP. If XRP were to make a break to $3, a few days ago, of course people would be fearful, but it's less. And it's mostly when you fail to breach a ceiling that people all of a sudden start losing steam. They start losing hope. They keep thinking, oh, this is really where we go down. And partially that's because I always say follow the trend. And if the trend mostly is upwards and you keep breaking, you think it's going to continue on, right? And right now in the short term, it's downwards, so you think it's going to go down more. But that's not fully true. It's a short-term thing versus a overarching trend. The trend for coins like XRP is very much upwards. The short-term price action is downwards. Which one do you follow? Well, again, if you really are a person that wants to trade within a day, you could try maybe your luck on the price going down on the short term, so you want to try your luck there. But essentially, if the market mostly has been moving up, which again, you can confirm by just looking at Bitcoin's inception versus now, or XRP versus the beginning versus now, or ETH the beginning versus now, it's always been continuously up. But then even smaller than that, bear versus bull market, right now we're still, theoretically speaking, for a good maybe few months, good half a year perhaps, in the best of the best of markets. Why go against that? It is all in your mind. And once you understand that, this will probably be the best time ever. And I keep having to say every single day, I told you so, right? Because I've been saying this when XRP was extremely low, when ETH was extremely low. And remember, I have videos where ETH is below $100. I have videos where Bitcoin is below $1,000. I have videos of XRP, I don't know at what price point, but just ridiculously low. I've been saying this for many, many years in a row. I believed in these coins for many, many years in a row. But there's no point in saying, oh, you should have listened sooner. All I got to say now is almost every person I come across, they say, I wish I did believe in this stuff sooner. So again, I'm not trying to say, I was there already, I told you. No, that's not the point here. All I'm trying to say is most people, they look at the market and think, you know what? I should have probably not been that fearful. And trust me, even my freaking family members all over, they're in the same spot where I told every single one of these guys about crypto like almost a decade ago. Many of them didn't get in until maybe 5 years afterwards. And even then, even right now, they've seen success to some degree, right? They see how it keeps moving. And even now, many of them do not want to put anything in because they say, but it can't keep going up forever, right? You can't. And I refer back to the stock market saying, well, since you were young, 70 years ago, I'm joking, right? But since that point, if all you did was just invest in a stock market, look how good it would have done. And they're like, yeah, but investing is risky because, and I said, well, how did you, I just told you. I mean, so some people will not get it. Hopefully you're a different one. But anyway, not financial advice, just my thoughts. I'm just spewing them out sometimes because people need to hear this, I think. I really think it can help at least one person, even though I'm blabbering a little bit. Yeah, that's about it.